morass of judgment and criticism and stuff that we can trot out. And, some people trot it out against other people. They project it outward because they can't really bear to look at it in themselves. Other people are just the opposite, and you're stuck with it. That's the situation that you gave yourself. And you wanted to balance it. So every day, sit down, take a look at yourself, and ask yourself to fall in love with yourself. Monica, is there a follow-up to that question? It looks like we're starting to run out of time. So.
Yeah, we've got about 6 or 7 minutes left, and we have one more question from our chat room. So maybe we can see if we might fit this in and do a brief answer on that. The question is from Harmony Gardens, and he or she, I'm not sure which, says, I was wondering if there was any guidance about how to accept, process, and release negativity and doubt from other people directed towards our abilities or our visions.
That's a good question, because I think we all have a lot of opposition from people who think differently than we do. I certainly have had tremendous opposition in my life, even from people in my own family. I had one brother that for 23 years was trying to get me to stop channeling because he thought that I was doomed to go to hell and live with Satan forever. And so he would talk my ears off for hours at a time every time the family got together. And I finally solved the problem not by loving him. I'd been loving him and forgiving him all the while. Finally, what I did was I drew a boundary between us. And I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't just sit by and have you abuse me like that. I am sitting down on the road. I'm an old mule, and that's it. That's all I can take. So from now on, if you bring that up, I will just go on the plane and go home. I won't tolerate it. And for two mortal Christmases, I didn't see my brother. And the November before Christmas on the third year, he called and said that he'd had a revelation that a Jewish friend had asked him, Tommy, if I never get converted to Christianity, will I still be your friend? And Tommy said, sure, I'd never let something like that block our friendship. And then he thought, yeah, but I let it block friendship with my sister. So he called me up and he said he promised never again to bring it up. Now, I know it still bothers him. There's no question in my mind. But he has forgiven me to the point where we can enjoy ourselves, laugh, and feel free and safe with each other. So by finally standing up for myself and creating a boundary, I made it possible for him to find a way to treat me well. And I think sometimes with people that don't approve of what you do, you have to draw a boundary. It's a loving boundary. You're not being judgmental. You're not being critical. You're just saying, I'm sorry, but this is not the basis for a friendship. And so I'm going to draw a boundary between myself and you. And I'm your friend, and I want to support you, but I won't tolerate your treating me badly. And if you try to treat me badly, I will go away. I will do something else with no harm meant to you whatsoever, but that's it. So I think that by standing up for yourself in a gentle and loving way, and by continuing then to support the other person in what he believes without criticism, you create the opportunity for that person to treat you better, or you create the opportunity for that person to do something else with his time. Does that make sense, Monica?
I think it does. So basically, I really like the part about being firm and establishing those boundaries. That's really, really good. Okay. Well, we've got 8 minutes left, and probably not enough time for another question. Oh, Harmony Gardens has a response. Thank you. This is so helpful. That is beautiful. My concern is that they think, I'm sorry?
I just wanted to say to Harmony Gardens that I really appreciated her kind words.
Okay. So Harmony Gardens is saying, my concern is with a significant person in my life who believes I shouldn't be the spiritual teacher and healer I am, and that I should get a real job. He sees no value in helping others unless there's a lot of money to be, okay, it cuts off there, but money to be made, and I feel that is his feelings that cause blocks in our abundance. No worries. I know you don't have time. Yeah, we got maybe about a minute or two left, so I don't know if you want to address any quick comment to that.
Well, I'm very fortunate in my life that instead of feeling that way, my husband is absolutely insistent that I do what I do, which brings in money for L&L research, but zero money for our household. So he goes out and he works hard all day, and I mean hard. I mean, he does gardening and mowing and stonework and heavy lifting for a living to support me so that I can work for L&L for free. So I know what it is to be well supported, and it is a wonderful thing, but we don't all have that. And I do totally agree with Harmony Gardens that if her calling is to do the work that she's doing, then I think that she should do it. Now, if there are more people than she in the relationship, you know, if there's a family unit and especially if she's responsible for children, I think that she's responsible for bringing in enough money to pay the bills. So it gets to be a kind of a complex question if there are children involved. But if there aren't children involved and the only people involved are she and her mate, then I think it's perfectly acceptable for that mate to do that which she feels in her heart it is important to do. And on the other hand, always it's good to listen to what your mate has to say. If the mate is concerned about money, then review the premises. Do we have enough money? Are we fulfilling our obligations? Are we paying our bills? If the answers are yes, and if the mate is doing what he's doing because he feels that this is what he wants to do, then it's actually all working fine. And there's no real problem except in the mind of the mate. So the problem then becomes between the mate and she. I'm assuming Harmony Gardens is a feminine name. That there is something to be balanced. There's something to be harmonized. There's something to allow to become okay. If the mate cannot do this, if he is intransigent, then it may be time to draw a boundary and say, I'm sorry, but as long as we can get along without the money that I would make at a day job, then I would prefer to do what I'm doing. If, on the other hand, there is a lack and there is a need to make money, then maybe it's time to find a way to blend working in the world and working for a specifically spiritual purpose. I have found no job in any of the jobs that I have done that is not vulnerable to becoming a spiritual life all in itself. And I've, made my living Xeroxing papers. I've made my living as a barmaid. I've made my living as a clerk in a motel. There are ways to love people and to serve everywhere. So I really think that you need to be flexible and you need to be open-minded when it comes to working with a mate. It's not a very definitive answer, but I don't really know the circumstances. And I think we're just about out of time, so I had better let that one go.
We sure are, and there is I think there's a few other people. We actually had about 10 people logged in today on the chat room, and so thank you, everyone, for being with us. And Harmony Gardens, I see that you do have a follow-up question, and I'd like to ask you to bring that question with you next week, and we'll explore that topic further because we are out of time. So thank you, everyone, for being with us. If you have enjoyed this show, please visit our two websites, llresearch.org, which is our archive website, home to over 1,500 channeling transcripts, 11 publications, the Law of One material, interviews, speeches, and more. The second is bringforth.org, and that's bring, the number 4th, bringforth.org, LL Research Community's website featuring forums, blogs, chat rooms, and more. have a wonderful, loving community there. Thanks so much for listening. Special thank you to those who submitted questions. If you'd like to submit a question for Carla before the next show, please visit the Bring Forth forums, navigate to the miscellaneous section, and post to the thread Q&A with Carla L. Rueckert, submitting questions, or you can submit a private question to me, Monica Leal, at magicalmoons@gmail.com. That's magic with a K, MAGICKALMOONS, magicalmoons@gmail.com. You guys have a great week. We will see you next Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Bye, Carla. Bye to everyone. See you then.